All right, Kyle. So we obviously talked about Cale Makar yesterday and the awesomeness in overtime. We've had 24 hours to gush about it on social media. Is that enough? Do we need to talk about it some more?
In the words of the prophet Harry Connick Jr., one more again.
Gotta love that Harry Connick Jr. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. Joining me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. On today's episode, we're going to keep talking about Cale Makar for a little while anyway, because we have to. When something like that happens, that's pretty much the talk of the league.
Yeah.
You do a podcast on that team, you're going to talk about it more. So we'll be discussing that. We will also look at the Avalanche schedule for the month of January. Some pretty interesting things going on with them and the schedule for January. So we'll do that. And the one game that they have tonight against the Winnipeg Jets, we'll be kind of previewing that, kind of what to expect. Kyle is looking forward to this game very much.
I am.
So, yeah. So first things first, follow the show on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And you can follow the show over on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Locked On Avalanche. And if you want to follow our individual Twitter pages, Twitter handles there right on the bottom if you're following us on YouTube. All right, man. So we've had time to digest that incredible game-ending goal by Cale Makar. I'm sure everybody that's listening now has seen it. If you haven't, I'm not sure. I mean, how much you paying for that rent under the rock that you're living in? So,
yeah.
But it has, like I said, it's taken the league over. That's all anybody is talking about right now. So much so that during the Penguins Blues game that is going on as we are recording this, they interviewed him during the first intermission. And I just love the fact that it was a Blues game.
Yeah.
During intermission, Blues fans had to sit through, or, they could have easily changed the channel. And I'm sure many of them did for the 2 minutes and 30 seconds that he was on. I got a lot of excitement out of that simply. But overall, I mean, this is a big moment for him. This is his time to shine. This is his moment in the spotlight. Not that he hasn't been before, but people know who Cale Makar is, and now they know who Cale Makar is, if you know what I mean.
And now we kind of know why the Avalanche social accounts were pushing for him for the All-Star game.
Right.
It's interesting that he's gone so viral with that shot. He's achieved Zegras levels of it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere in the game of hockey. And we've known about him for so long, and just his rise, joining the team in the playoffs, contributing game one, his whole story, we followed it the whole way, and watching it culminate to this, we've known this all along. And it's just one of those moments that you can feel good as an Avalanche fan, knowing that, he's with us and he's going to be with us for a while. It's one of those, now you're at the point with the confidence of Cale Makar. Okay, that was fun. What's next?
I want to see what happens now. And that's kind of like what I was thinking about was, now I don't want to say, I feel like saying he's got a target on his back, not in a bad way, in the way of now eyes are on him. You know what I mean? This is stuff that Nathan MacKinnon's had to deal with for the past few years since he really came onto the scene. Now you're expected to do this all the time. And will that change him? He doesn't seem like a kid that really lets anything rattle him. And even in that interview that he just did with TNT during an intermission, they asked him, is there anybody in practice that scares you with the team that you have? Is there anybody that and he was just like, no. I mean, he didn't answer it like that, but he was just like, no, that's what makes you better. I'm not going to back down from Nathan MacKinnon or Mikko Rantanen or Gabe. I want to go up against those guys. So to have that demeanor, and now with all of this, fanfare that's coming with what he just did, there's going to be some people there kind of arms folded saying, do this again, keep it up. But like you said before, we've seen that was just the pinnacle
Mm-hmm.
of so many things we've seen him do. Earlier this year, a couple weeks ago, God, I can't remember who they were playing, and he went almost the full 200 feet and looped all the way around the
Yes.
goalie on one blade. He
Yeah.
didn't take a stride once he started circling behind the net. He was on his outside edge or his outside skate, and he just kept going around and around in a loop and circled back, and like nothing came of the play. But when we're watching, like, that's not going to make
Yeah.
Sports Center or like NHL Tonight. But you see that, and you see the ability that this dude has, and it wows you. And that last night, I mean, and it helped that it was on ESPN.
Yeah.
That a lot of people saw that.
And you've seen flashes all year where Cale will take that moment of confidence, and it's almost like he like zaps into that mode. You've seen him rip goals immediately off a face-off. He
Yeah.
kind of sees it, and he knows this is my moment. Like he could see the moment and capitalize on the moment. You can see him go full 200 foot to make a play. You see so many things, and this is not just offense that Cale Makar does. He's also stellar on the defense and his positioning every game, game in, game out. He knows how to play every aspect of the game, and he's so confident in every aspect of the game that he knows when he should take over and when he should contribute to other players on the team. And you mentioned that everybody's going to be watching Cale Makar. Good. We need somebody off of Nathan MacKinnon. That'll possibly free him up.
Yeah, because Nathan MacKinnon has quietly amassed a 12 game point streak now. I think it is.
Mhm.
I think it's 12, and nobody's even really talking about that because there's so many other options on this team. Cale Makar obviously being one of them, but I love the fact that he is a defenseman doing this.
Yeah.
A defenseman making a play like that is insane, is ridiculous. And that's, I think that's the wow factor in all of this, is that you expect to see things like the Zegras. I keep saying the Zegras goal. It wasn't his goal. I remember, but we just say the Zegras goal, and you know what we're talking about. The Zegras goal, the Connor McDavid slicing and dicing through the Rangers, and the Cale Makar goal last night. Those, in my opinion, are the top 3 goals of the year, and you can make an argument for whichever one would be number one. And he's the only defenseman on there.
Yeah. And leads the league as for defensemen in scoring, like goal scoring. This is young Cale Makar. Like, he always looks like he's 16 years old. Gives the most like junior hockey college answers every time he's interviewed. Like, he's like the polar opposite of, we've referenced him a couple times, but Zegras is like that surfer dude, like no care in the world, like super chill. Everybody likes that. And then you have Cale Makar, who's just like, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. I do my best. And it's just everybody. It's hard not to like Cale Makar.
He has just that boyish look. You know what I mean? Like he's 16 years old.
Yeah.
Like, he does not look his age. But like I said yesterday, don't cross him. He's got a mean side to him. He will lay you out and skate away from you and look back and be like, you shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? Like, he has but he does it the right way. He's not out to, harm somebody in a vicious way. He knows how to play the game the right way. Excellent on the offensive end, excellent on defensive end. He's a 3-tool player, man. He is everything the Avs wanted him to be, and then some. And I love when you always go back. You always see these websites doing these like redrafting the whatever year. Is there any doubt who would be the number 1 pick right now if you redrafted the 2017 draft?
Yeah, hindsight's 2020, and Cale's going to be redrafted number 1
every time, man. Every time. And I think this is big. Go ahead.
No, I love the fact that the whole, like, ever since Cale hit the scene, it was the Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar debate, like, who's actually going to be better in this? And it was neck and neck on who's got more points and goals, and Quinn's doing this. What can Cale do tonight? You haven't heard a peep of that all year long this year. He's silenced that. and he has ascended from just kind of like the new cool rookie to a dominant player in the league. Just it doesn't matter how long he's been in.
Yeah. And now the person everyone wants to compare him to is Adam Fox.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Adam Fox is a fantastic defender. He can't do what Cale Makar is capable of doing. And I think you're seeing that over the course of a season when Cale Makar is in for the majority of the games. I think there's a distance between them two. And I would say Adam Fox is a top 3 or 4 defender in the league. And a lot of people want to put him up at number 2 just because, you know, he just won Defensive Player of the Year. And Cale Makar doing what he's doing this year, I think it's Cale Makar number 1, head and shoulders above who's below him, including Adam Fox. All right, so the Avalanche. Actually, the one last thing I wanted to say about this with Cale Makar, it's good for the Colorado sports scene.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like because you know they're not a major market.
No,
especially in hockey. You know, the Broncos are a big time team. They have a huge following coast to coast. You can go into whenever they're on the road. There's a lot of orange in the stands. Broncos fans travel well. They're still a mid-market team, and that is especially true for the Avalanche. I would say the Avalanche are at the bottom end of the mid-market team. So when you have a team that's performing like this, and you have a player like that, that's just good for the brand, you know. And I always think of it's like Steph Curry when he went to the Golden State Warriors. Nobody likes the Golden State Warriors. Now every store you go into that still is sports crap, there's Golden State stuff because of him. Is that, I mean, could the Avs be that? Could the Avs be the Golden State Warriors of the hockey world?
He's almost like a Giannis. Like the Milwaukee Bucks are kind of the same kind of level as the Avalanche, and he's turned that team into a incredible team. And Cale, he's not just a good player. We mentioned it, his personality. He's one of those players that players want to play with, and that means a lot when you're a mid-market team and you're trying to sign contracts. If you have people that people want to play with, it helps you out in the long run.
Absolutely. So moving on to the Avs January schedule. Obviously, they've already played a couple games. They are playing tonight, Thursday night, if you're listening to this on Thursday, obviously, against Winnipeg. First time they've played Winnipeg, I believe, this season. So we'll get to that game specifically in the next segment. But overall, a busy month for the Colorado Avalanche. Obviously, they've already had those 2 games that they've played. They've won both of them, 4-2 against Anaheim, and then obviously the 4-3 overtime win against Chicago. Overall, they're playing 16 games in the month of January, and they only have 2 days in a row off once. A lot of hockey to play this month. And when you're looking it over, there's not 1, not 2, but 3 back-to-backs. And those back-to-backs are in a relatively short amount of time. They're doing a back-to-back, a home and away against Seattle and then Nashville. And then they're doing a home and away against Arizona. And then they're doing back-to-back away games, which doesn't happen too much, but it is against Anaheim and Los Angeles. So there's not a lot of travel there, but a back-to-back on an away trip doesn't happen a ton. Overall, looking at this schedule, and we'll go through it, you know, who they're playing and kind of like what to look for in terms of where it could benefit the Avalanche. But when you're looking at the January schedule, what do you think?
January schedule is going to be, it's a prove-it month. Yes, we're great. Yes, we're firing on all cylinders. Just Saturday, we'll be facing the Maple Leafs again. And that was the worst game of the season, honestly. And it's at home. This is a redeem yourself game. You mentioned the West Coast swing, the Ducks back-to-back with the Kings. Longtime Avalanche fans know that's never a fun trip. The Kings, for some reason, know the Avalanche, and they cause problems. And the Ducks are just way too physical than they need to be. You get to end the month with the Buffalo Sabres, so you get there. We'll be all right.
I mean, overall, it's not. It's kind of like a middle of the road type of schedule. Like November was easy.
Mm-hmm.
December was tougher, and then COVID kind of threw a wrench into that. And January is kind of like in between those two. You're playing,
Yeah.
you're playing Chicago 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing Seattle, Arizona twice, Montreal, and Buffalo. Those are games you got to win. I mean, that's like 10 points right there between Seattle, Arizona 2 times, Montreal, Buffalo. That's 5 games right there that should be no-brainer wins for the Avs. So that's 10 points right there that you should be in your favor. When you have a back-to-back, I know that throws a wrench into things. But your difficult games for the month, Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
you're in Nashville, and Nashville is flying high right now.
They are.
You're home against Minnesota. That's always a good game. And normally you'd say, you're at home against Boston. Boston doesn't scare me this year. So
No.
at home, when you go to Boston, that's could be another scenario. I'll give the Avs the high road on that one because they're playing at home. I think this is a very favorable schedule for the Avs for January. There's a lot of good matchups that you like, and very few that you don't.
And so there's a lot of testing on this schedule as well. That Arizona back-to-back, you can get a lot of things tweaked and fine-tuned in that back-to-back, because birthday present to me, that Minnesota game at home, the rivalry game, it is my birthday.
All
Minnesota.
Right. Well, then that's a guaranteed win, right?
Oh, I hope. My goodness. That game, and it's like right there in the middle of the month. So if we can overcome Toronto, that'll be a high. Could you carry that through Seattle and then Nashville and then the back-to-back and then conquer Minnesota? I mean, that's going to be a challenge. And the rest of that year, like the West Coast swing scares me just because I've seen it go wrong so many times. But this is a very prove-it month. Like, you can play around with lineups and goalies, and we'll get to that with the matchup we have tonight. But goalies stand out when it comes to every game on this schedule.
There you go. And that's something that was my next point of emphasis. Was we talked about like where are we gonna get from Frankie?
Mm-hmm.
What do we got to see what he can do. He's going to get a chance this month. I mean, obviously in your 3 back-to-backs, there's 3 games right there that he's playing one of those 2. And then because you're playing so much, you're going to need him for maybe another game or 2. And he could play 4 or 5 times this month. And that's a good barometer for is he back? Is everything okay? Is he healthy? Does he need to work on things? So, yeah, I think our question on Frankie is going to be answered at least by the end of this month.
And I would, if I was Galaxy Brain Jared Bednar right now, would tonight not be a good chance to finally throw him out there and see exactly what we got before we get in the thick of things?
So no. And here's why for me, because it's division. It's a division game. And division games, I want my number 1 goalie going. I know that's not what every coach, that's not their mantra, but for me it is. So if I'm Bednar, you got Kemper playing against Winnipeg, you got him playing against Toronto, and then home against Seattle is where I would put Frankie in. And
I was thinking he just got done with an overtime game. And he won coming back. Granted, we were on COVID rest, but I mean, overtime is emotional. And Darcy Kemper played really, really well. Like,
he did.
You want him at A+ for that Toronto game.
And that's so weird because it's like that's not the division game. I know that's an East Coast, that's an Eastern Conference team. It shouldn't mean that much, but could it be a Stanley Cup preview?
Exactly.
And you want to see what you have, even though it's January and the Stanley Cup is months away, and we're not counting our chickens before they hatch, but you want to see what you got. And you got embarrassed last time.
Is this the most winnable division game that the Avalanche will face all January?
Against Winnipeg?
Yes.
What do you think? I mean, they got 2 more, like I said, 2 more against Chicago, 1 at home, 1 on the road. You got the Winnipeg game, and then Minnesota. And Nashville. Nashville.
This
in
would be the
Nashville.
most winnable of all the Central teams. You know you're not going to go unbeaten against those Central Division teams, and you know you have to test
Right.
Frankie out at some point.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, as far as most winnable games, you would probably say the Winnipeg game. Minnesota's a tough game, even though it's at home, and then I would say Chicago. Chicago at
Yeah.
home, and Chicago showed what they can do
Mm-hmm.
when they can come back on you. So they're all going to be tough. I know that. So
Yeah.
yeah, but other than, let's see, Boston coming to town and Buffalo coming to town, these are all Central or Pacific games. Oh, near Montreal too. So there's Montreal in the mix as well. But I think it's, you know what else I want to see is Philip Grubauer going to avoid the Colorado Avalanche
Again.
again. Everybody's watching, and now it's in Colorado. So if he was afraid to go up against them, and I don't know if that's the case, but that's what we're going on. He should have been afraid to go up against them when he goes back to Denver, not in Seattle.
Yeah, I know just by seeing the fan base on Twitter, they're not going to welcome him back with open arms.
No, they're not happy. Not happy. And I think there's a little bit of told you so going on because he is not doing well with the Kraken. Nobody is doing well up there. So,
no.
All right, let's hear from BetOnline, and then we'll kind of talk about why Kyle's so excited to see this. Could this be another classic, a regular season classic? I don't know. Let's like the Avs did against the Panthers.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I won't steal your thunder. So, BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march towards the NFL playoffs and beyond. It's like
Buzz Lightyear.
Buzz Lightyear, yeah. BetOnline remains the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile website. And when you sign up today, you'll get your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit just using the promo code LOCKED ON. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2022 year and seasons that follow. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all of your favorite sports. It's where the game starts. That is betonline.ag. So I was big on Winnipeg going into this season. I liked their team. I still like their team. They're kind of towing that line. They look good. They look lost sometimes, but I guess they're one of those teams that you don't know what you're going to get. I think when you're an Avalanche team and you are a favorite, you're going to get the opponent's best shot every single time because they want to take you down. You're looking forward to this game. You think this is going to be an exciting game? How so?
Well, you're getting Scheifele, you're getting Ehlers, you're getting Wheeler. Those are three names that you don't hear about a lot because it's Winnipeg. Like they're not. You don't hear a lot about Winnipeg. And two of my favorite goalies in the league, John Gibson and Connor Hellebuyck. And for the Avalanche to play a game against both Gibson and Hellebuyck are probably some of the most talented goalies in the league, but have continually been on some of the worst teams in the league. So you don't really get to see what they can do. This is fantastic for how the Avalanche are rolling. A really, you saw, it was kind of hard to get past Marc-Andre Fleury in the Chicago game. Another elite goaltender with young, scrappy talent in Winnipeg. There was cases being made that this team might surprise people when it comes to the playoffs. They didn't get out to the best of starts, and it's much like you heard out of Chicago. They could surprise you. Similar start. So what we got in that, what ended up being a classic game against Chicago, I think we might have another nail biter. This one might be a 1-0, like maybe a 2-1 overtime win. Like this one's going to be tight.
Yeah, it's going to test the Avalanche and their offensive power.
Yeah.
Assuming that Hellebuck's going, which I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. It's going to test them. It is absolutely going to test them. And like I said, you're going to get your best from the opponent because everybody expects a lot from the Avalanche and they're playing very well. So And on top of that, Winnipeg is in the thick of this. They should be higher up in the standings than they are. I don't think they're satisfied with where they're at. So they got something to prove. They got something to prove. They're kind of like the odd team out right now. Where are they? 37 points, 32 games. So they don't have as many games in hand as like the Avs do. But the Avs have 3 games in hand on Winnipeg, and they're 3 points ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
So a regulation loss by Winnipeg, like, just is a lot of damage to them.
Yeah.
So they're gonna. I mean, you would expect them to come out and give it their all right off the rip. They're gonna look for that first goal. They're gonna look to set the tone of the game. Even though it's on away ice for them, they're gonna come out really trying to establish the foothold of this game, I think.
Yeah, and like to your point right there, Avalanche fans need to realize this. The Avalanche are viewed as one of the top tier teams now. Like, we've been so accustomed to trying to get ourselves into a place where we were respected and dominant. Well, we're there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what team is out there, they're giving you their 100% best because their shows are talking about we need to prove ourselves against the Avalanche. Like, this is our game to prove ourselves. And they come out, and when we win games like against Seattle, that was like 7-2, 8-2, it's because we take them out early. If we let Winnipeg get creative, get themselves in, go up 1-2-0, that's when things get really, really scary, really, really early, because they're starting to really prove themselves. And if they get confidence, the Avalanche chances greatly diminish in that game. So it doesn't matter who's on the schedule. Everyone's giving their best, and the Avalanche win games by taking them out early.
You saw the Avs take a 2-0 lead in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying let up. I don't think they really let up. Chicago upped their game.
They did.
I think if you see Winnipeg take a 2-0 lead on the Avalanche home ice, they won't be satisfied. Like, they won't, for multiple reasons, because they need to keep the RPMs pinned in the red, because this Avalanche team can score at will sometimes, or so it seems. So they know a 2-0 lead on Avalanche ice means nothing. So I think you're right, man. I think you're going to get a good Jets team. At least that's what you would expect. But I'm looking to see, with the Avalanche knowing that, I'm looking forward to seeing if the Avalanche shut them down and just put them under their foot and just say, no, like, you're coming into our house. You still got a long way to go to match up with us. That's the dynamic that I want to see. How do the Avalanche respond? How do the Avalanche start?
Yeah.
You kind of assume how the Jets are going to start because of everything that we were just talking about. How are the Avalanche going to start, knowing that they're on fire right now and things are going their way? Let's not let up at all.
And then what you got to look at it, you got to take one step back. The Avalanche we talked about early in the show, we're trendy now. We're all over social media because of Cale Makar.
Yeah.
Everybody's respecting us. How embarrassing would it be if they just
up with a loss,
completely choke and then carry this embarrassing loss back home to face Toronto, who embarrassed you? The Avalanche do not need this. They know this. They want to carry a win against that and keep that momentum going playing against Toronto.
Do you think they're doing that at all? Looking past, I don't want to say looking past Winnipeg as to say, like, oh, this is a pushover game. It's not. But knowing, like, on deck is the team that embarrassed us.
I know there's one player on the team that I talk about all the time that knows about Saturday's game, because he spent a majority of his career in Toronto, and he does not enjoy that loss.
That's a very good point. We shall see. So I think Jared Bednar is very good at making this team live in the moment and take care of what's in front of them. But I think sometimes it's human nature to Avs they're looking forward to Saturday. You can't. I don't think you can deny that. But they got to take care of business on Thursday first and get 2 points against the division team. So, all right. That'll wrap it up for today. So Kyle and I will be back tomorrow to discuss the Winnipeg and Avalanche game. And if this thing goes into overtime, there's going to be one camera on Cale Makar the entire time. Probably for the rest of his career. Yeah, the Cale cam. Exactly. So unfairly so. But I guess he's earned it. He's kind of earned that. Yeah, he's earned his own camera.
His ESPN plus camera.
Yeah, that's going to happen. So, all right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. Go check out Locked on NHL with myself and Adam Denker as we do that way. There you go.
Yeah, that way.
With myself and Adam Denker, we were off because there was no hockey, so we didn't do power rankings, but we do power rankings for this week. Very interesting ones too. So yeah, check it out. That'll be it for today. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and we will see you guys tomorrow talking some Avs hockey.